citizen capacity and capacity of the economy. This is a very wide context of self-reliance. We would like to see it among all beneficiaries and counterparts. Then sustainability. By the way, self-reliance and sustainability are almost the same. We would like to sustain our improvement. So sustainability is the ability of a local system to produce desired outcomes. We would like to make sure that the desired outcomes are produced by the local system, not by the donor or because of the help of the donor. Over time, programs contribute to sustainability when they strengthen the system ability to produce valued results and to be both resilient and adaptive in the face of changing circumstances. For example, here in Jordan, different things changed, and mainly for the water sector. The demand is becoming higher. The utilization is changing from year to year. So we would like to see a resilient system, and adaptive management is being utilized in a more efficient way. USAID promotes sustainability through local empowerment, using those two elements, similar to self-reliance, local ownership, and strengthening the capacity of local system to produce the desired outcomes. Now, for example, the UN, they started with the MDGs years ago in 2000, finished in 2015. The MDGs, there were 8 goals. But then they discovered that to be more sustained, to guarantee a measurable and obvious result for the countries, they need to be more specific, and to maybe to disaggregate those 8 goals to be as 17 goals. That's why they now using the SDGs. The SDGs are 17 Sustainable Development Goals to tackle all the areas and all the aspects of development in the country. I remember we've worked with OECD, the European Development Committee, to develop a welfare index, and they were thinking about why not to track the mortality index. But then we thought, if we enhance the mortality, if someone will stay alive, that doesn't mean they are living in a perfect condition. That's why we need to look in different contexts: education, health, economic strengthening. So that's why the disaggregation to 17 goals were very essential. So those are different aspects or approach for addressing sustainability. We are in WMI addressing sustainability in a different aspects or approach. Now my colleague Helena, she will walk you through our experience and through the sustainability assessment tool. Thank you.
If you allow me to introduce you, Elena is currently working as a research, monitoring, and evaluation coordinator at the Water Management Initiative. Of course, she's a young development professional with a background in economics and mathematics and keen interest in writing data analysis. So please go ahead, Elena.
Thank you so much. So as Maram has mentioned, we've given sort of so far an overview of broadly what the USAID focus on sustainability and self-reliance looks like. But now I'd like to delve into a little bit more of a broad overview of another way that you can look at sustainability. So there are a lot of tools and approaches, obviously, to how one can consider sustainability, and we've chosen here to showcase a tool that exists called the Program Sustainability Assessment Tool. Now, I don't want to delve too much into the details of the tool itself. If you're interested, at sustaintool.org, the link there, you can go in, and there's a long tool involved here that enables you to develop a sustainability plan for your program, all sorts of things. But here we'd really like to showcase how the tool considers the key pillars of sustainability. That is, what does it mean for a project or a program to be sustainable? And one of the reasons why we thought that this was a great tool to showcase today is because it's very versatile and can be used in a lot of different contexts. So it's not specific necessarily to the development context. It's been applied widely in the health sector, the water sector, all sorts of sectors have applied this among both private and public organizations. So with that, I'd like to delve into the 8 pillars that this tool uses to define what it means for a program to be sustainable. So first we have the component of environmental support. And here this is really about having champions and having an environment that's conducive to the work that a program is trying to do. So this includes strong champions, leadership support, and in addition, strong public support. In addition to environmental support, we have the obvious funding. If you don't have funding to do something, there's no way that work is going to be long-term sustainable. So needing to think about the funding aspect, especially in the context of a short-term project like what WMI does, how will this continue on beyond our exit? In addition to funding and environmental support, we have partnerships, kind of overlapping a bit with environmental support, but looking at involving community organizations, community leaders, things like that. And again, when thinking about how, this is how the tool itself defines these pillars, but if you think about the versatility of the tool, the actual connotations associated with each of the pillars might differ from context to context, but the overall ideas are very much malleable. We also have the key organizational capacity. Of course, we all know how important this is to sustainability. And here they define it in terms of operations of the organization. Is your program well integrated? Are organizational systems in place? Does leadership effectively articulate the vision? These are sort of how they conceptualize organizational capacity. Then we have program evaluation. So this is where it really comes down to, are you assessing how well your program is doing what it's supposed to be doing? So capacity for quality program evaluation, reporting is very key here in terms of, are you understanding whether or not you're achieving your goals? And the key also to evaluation results inform program planning. So not only are you getting these results or getting this input, but are you using it to your advantage? Next, we have program adaptation. Adaptation sort of ties into evaluation and assessment, but the idea that you don't simply take in knowledge, but you act upon it and attempt to change based on the results that you're seeing. Next, we have communication. So this has to do with strategic communication with stakeholders. Program staff communicate the need to the public. The program is marketed in a way that generates interest, and the program demonstrates its value to the public. And finally, the 8th pillar that the tool uses to define sustainability is strategic planning. And this is really just encompassing the long-term perspective and whether or not it's a critical component to the way that you shape your work, both present and future. So with that, that's sort of the overview of the 8 tools. Now, I'd like to take the opportunity to delve into WMI's own experience and understanding our sustainability of our work. So for that, I want to delve into 3 examples. One of them is sector-wide gender reform. Another is improving operational performance and service delivery in Ma'an. And finally, enterprise resource planning at Yarmouk Water Company. So with regards to sector-wide gender reform, we have 2 things really going here that we would like to highlight. One of them is working closely with the Women's Studies Unit, which was established at the Ministry of Water and Irrigation. We worked with them, we hired a consultant to conduct a gender study to understand what the needs are in the gender sector in Jordan. And with that, we will then work on developing the gender policy for the sector. So this is a really important example of ensuring that needs are addressed and understanding where the needs really lie, and then taking long-term action from there. So something like a policy is going to be more sustainable than a short-term action because it's going to actually become entrenched and ingrained in the ministry on the whole. Additionally, we have training of trainers. So WMI conducted training for a group of 15 so-called focal points, and these are the gender focal points. And what this is an attempt to mainstream gender in the water sector in Jordan, but using training of trainers. So those 15 individuals, they report to the Ministry of Water and Irrigation, and that also helps tremendously with the long-term sustainability, because you could ask what happens when we leave. Well, this group of 15 individuals that were selected to sort of be the representatives of gender in the water sector, they'll be reporting to the ministry, and so this is a program that will become ingrained in the ministry in the long term. And so they enable us to really do what we're trying to do with a long-term approach in mind. And so here we see a few different examples. We have identifying needs and adapting accordingly, as well as developing key partnerships and building capacity. Next, we have, with regards to improving operational performance and service delivery in Ma'an. Here, back in 2017, WMI introduced meter reading and doorstep billing in very close collaboration with Ma'an Water Administration. And since then, it's only been about 2 years, but since then, these changes have really become institutionalized in the work that's done at Ma'an Water Administration. And the administration has seen great improvements in billing percentage, as well as billing percentage and decreases in reading time as a result of these interventions. Now, how did WMI make these changes sustainable? We engaged very closely with the stakeholders as well as the community in order to understand the needs and to conduct campaigns that would gauge that public interest and partnership that the tool was describing for sustainability. Additionally, with regards to capacity building, we deployed these tools, so that included advanced handheld units and barcodes, and these tools were presented to the water authority and enabled them to conduct the work that they needed to do in a more sustainable fashion. And in addition to that, we provided training for the JABIs, the meter readers, in order to ensure that this work would be sustainable. And overall, now the counterparts have ownership of this intervention, and this is just a simple, integral part of their day-to-day work. The last example that we'd like to highlight is a really great example from WMI's work, which was the implementation of the Enterprise Resource Planning System at Yarmouk Water Company. So the ERP system is basically a management system that improves efficiency overall at the water utility, and WMI has been working extensively towards making this change a reality, and now Yarmouk Water Company has the most advanced management system in Jordan. But how did that happen? So from the start, we were doing things such as involving the board of directors, so there's that partnership that you think about. Keeping WMI consultants constantly informed about implementation, so ensuring that there was constant knowledge and awareness, and disengaging the old system after the necessary consultations with staff to ensure that the change was actually set and things weren't simply moving in parallel and overlapping in any confusing way. So one of the big things that really made this intervention a success was the extent to which we were all able to collectively champion YWC's human capital. So there was tremendous training and capacity building that went into this intervention. Around 300 individuals were trained, including a select group of super users. And the goal behind this is to champion the resources that already exist within the utility. So rather than bringing people in from outside, utilizing the human capital that already exists and ensuring that they're the ones who are empowered to use this system and continue in the long run implementing it with success. And this is really where we see the key to self-reliance and sustainability. You hear it right in the name. And finally, in terms of the long-term success after WMI finishes, YWC will help in establishing a support solution center to take over the responsibilities of the system in the long term. So we've been, from the start, sort of ingraining a lot of the pillars that the tool describes of sustainability. So I don't want to take too much time, but just to sort of close, I wanted to link WMI's approach to sustainability with the tool that we presented in the pillars. So we see, in terms of partnerships and environmental support, close collaboration with counterparts at all phases, and this is sort of what we call the participatory approach, and it's very closely ingrained in our work plan. Additionally, we have emphasizing updates to policies and procedures. This is a big part of what WMI does, and we work very closely, our governance team as well, in ensuring that the right policies are in place, and that ensures long-term perspective as well, and also ensures that suitable environment that we were talking about. Additionally, in terms of program evaluation and adaptation, we've conducted a lot of needs assessments, and it's a very critical component to a lot of our work. And similarly, we conduct pilots, and for instance, with new technologies or something like that. If you want to make sure that it's going to work in the long term, it's very helpful to gauge feedback to initially conduct a pilot, and that's something that we've done on numerous occasions. Next to last, strategic planning. So that's working on sort of the long-term vision and planning with counterparts. So that's something that we've done across the board with multiple water utility companies in Jordan. And finally, the cornerstone of really what WMI's work is ensuring that capacity building is really the key. So across just about any intervention that we're holding, training is a key component and at the forefront of what we do. So to date, we've trained about 2,500 individuals throughout the course of our work, and that's something that we're only continuing to build off of, and something that we really feel is essential to the long-term sustainability of our work. So that's sort of a quick overview of WMI's approach to sustainability, and thank you for your time, and looking forward to your questions.
Thank you very much, Maram and Helena. That is really very excellent presentation. And they have presented here the MWI project, and they have tackled the self-reliance and the sustainability and what are the measurement tools. Also the transitioning from the MDG to the SDG, as well as the 8 pillars and how the 8 pillars have been applied to the 3 model projects being supported by the USAID in Jordan. The first one is about the gender, and it started from the assessment and the engagement of the women in the water sector. And there's a report being presented, and it's ownership of the Ministry of Water, and there are recommendations of how to go about the engagement of the gender or the women in the sector. The second one is the operating performance service delivery, which is a MAN, and as they were mentioning, that is going to look at what are the benefit and then how to replicate. And the last one is enterprise, which is being resource planning and the capacity building to the Yarmouk company as a model. Of course, they give the reflection on the how the 8 tools is being applied and how effective it is. If you don't mind, we're going to leave the questions, if you record them, to the end of the session, if that will suit everybody. Is that okay? Because of the time. And if you don't wake up, we're going to do some dancing so that so that you don't sleep. Okay, the second presenter is going to be Giovanni. He's an Italian humanitarian aid worker, currently based in Palestine, specialized in WASH, water, sanitation, and